Hey everybody, welcome back to the Snake Pit, and today I've got a really exciting video for you. This one here is going to tug on your brain strings a little bit and maybe challenge you on what you think of older heroes. Today we're going to cover Guinevere. She's an old hero from the events, so from Knights of Avalon, and she's been in longer than I've been playing because when I came in, she was ruling the world in raids. For those newer players that only joined in the last few years, she was cream of the crop. She was the queen of all heroes. She was the tank that couldn't be easily beaten. She's fallen from grace since then and has been largely forgotten. But let's take a quick peek at her, and then we're gonna get into this. And I'm gonna urge you to stay with me on this video until we get to the end. I've got a little something special kind of lined up in this one compared to the others, where I mostly just cover the hero and what they've done. I am going to do that. I'm going to give you the numbers based on my war defense study that I conducted over a year of how Gwyn had done in each position at each war type. But I'm going to go in a little deeper on this one. So stay tuned, stay with me. I'm going to get there as quick as I can. So Gwyn, so she's an average mana speed hero of the wizard class. She does a few things with her special ability. So the first effect is that she reduces the mana of all enemies by 20%. She also will cast regeneration of hit points, so 612 over 4 turns for her and the nearby allies. And for herself and her two friends on the sides, they also get plus 54% defense against dark. But like I said, she's no longer used very frequently. You don't see her much. I was on the boards today, and somebody had just pulled Guinevere and posted it up and was kind of proud to have gotten a 5-star, as anybody should be if you don't have a deep bench. But I was a little shocked at a lot of the comments that were, a lot of them were saying, take her up to 370 and leave her there. And actually quite a few saying, don't even touch her, feed her to the soul exchange. And that's how people feel about her today. And you can see that because you don't see her out there. And there are so many more shiny heroes out there. Are they right? Is she completely dead? I'm here to tell you that she's not. She is not dead at all. She is not useful in every position anymore. That's for sure. I agree 100% with that. She's not dead. She's a one-trick pony now, which is actually probably more like a one-trick Clydesdale, because she is a mammoth of a hero in a certain scenario, and that's what I'm going to get into later. But let's quickly go through what we've seen, and then I'm going to get into the other part that you're not going to want to miss if you've got Gwyn in your roster. First up is Arrow Barrage. So Arrow Barrage 31.8% is the average survivability rate, and Gwyn has not been used anywhere but the flank. And we can see by the chart on the right, 34.9%. She's been used 17 times. That's good enough for 15 out of 70 for teams that use Gwyn there, compared to other heroes that have been used at least 10 times in that spot. There's no lines to depict on this graph, but you can see the dot, and I put a little blue dot that's glowing down by the flank, and you can see it better than the average hero. She's actually good here. I should add, she's quite underutilized in most places. Let's go on to the next war type. which is attack boost. And again, only used on the flank. She made the cutoff for 10. I used 10 for a cutoff to see if, where we can actually see the numbers kind of settle a little bit. And it's 26.3. It's on the inside of the track for average survivability rate. She's average. She's average here. Not used on tank, not used on wing. Undead Horde. She was actually used at tank and flank here. Only twice as a tank and did poorly. She's in the red. And for flank, even more poorly, and used 16 times, which is good enough to be rated 65 out of 76. She has not performed well in Undead Horde. This is so far is not a good place to use her. Let's go to Equalizer. And again, not utilized very much. The flank 7 times was used and put up a terrible score. 15.7%. That is not what you want on your team. You don't want your team to perform that low because of a hero that you've stuck on the flank. I don't recommend her being here. So, I get it. Hey, Ssnake, why are you even bothering to show this? I mean, we saw with the Arrow Barrage, one little bit of glory with, a few uses, and after that, it's all crap. Yeah, I agree, but hang on a second. Let's move on to Rush. And this, my friends, is what I want to show you. Let's start with the easy part. At flank, she's been used 21 times. And of course, Rush War being all heroes are at very fast mana speed, and she's an average hero, so this benefits her. And she's right on average for that, 34.1 for both the average of the war and teams with Guinevere on it at flank. Now, tank. And I put this question out during the Alfreich video, and Alfreich was first in all positions in Rush. All of them except for tank. And I questioned if anybody could guess who it was. And lo and behold, this is why I'm doing Gwyn today, because right here, she is above everybody by a lot at tank. Is Guinevere the best tank out there? Well, the numbers show it, but I'm going to say not in every case. If you were to just grab Guinevere and put her on on your best team, but putting her as tank on a rainbow team, it is not going to be as good. You have to exploit and leverage her particular skill set that makes her extremely effective at tank. And I'm going to get into exactly what that is, because now I'm going to tell you why Guinevere was so successful at tank all those times. So take a look at this. So what I'm going to go over right now is I'm going to discuss the very best teams that we've seen in Rush and what's common about them. So it's headed by Gwyn. And of course you got 2 darks on the flanks. And I've spoken about this before, how dangerous it is when you have a holy at tank and 2 dark flanks, or vice versa. It really makes things difficult. And this effect is heightened with Gwyn, and specifically Gwyn at tank. And this is all going to make sense to you after. But just remember, this is a Rush War. And, I've already discussed that healers at tank do well. We've got a healer at tank. She also will quickly reduce the mana bars on the attackers, which is very key, because we're going to talk a bit why tiles are almost useless against a setup like this. So for what you see in front of you, this is the core of the teams that did the best out of those 20 occurrences with Gwyn at tank in rush. This didn't account for all of them, but the most spectacular performances came with this layout. Flanked by another old hero in Kunchen and having Alfreich on the side as well. And Alfreich, of course, can be played from any position and is very deadly. But these two old heroes, believe it or not, is where the synergy lies, and where the success spurs from. The wings, I left those as question marks because they changed out quite a bit. But one notable fact is that in none of these cases was there a reviver on these wings. And again, this was one of the most successful individual type setups. Out of 20 wars, the survivability rate for having this core was only under average twice, so 18 times above it. 2 wars were at 75%, and both of them, both times at 75% survivability rate, were attacked 12 times and repelling 9 flags each war. So that's deadly to the other team. All right, so let's go on a little further and look at Gwyn. Obviously, the tank is arguably the best and most important part of your team. She's got enough defense as a level 80, be at that tank position. Defense 778. If you go the defense HP emblem path, you're at 891. And if it's limit broken with that path, 949. I should also mention that in none of these cases were any of these heroes limit broken, so you might even get better performance now, if you did have these limit broken as well. And then just further to this core, if you had limit broken Kunchen and Alfreich as well, they've got incredibly high defense and HP. So the heroes on the flanks are important, but I don't want you to overlook the importance of the Dark Holy combination that you've got in the middle 3 here. And I'm going to explain why that's probably the most important part, and also what makes this an incredibly effective team. So let's think about how you would attack something like this. Let's go through a few scenarios. So first up, let's go with the Dark Mono, trying to take out Gwyn, right? So you'll have some strong tiles to go up against Gwyn. In this scenario, if they take out Gwyn without her going off, they're going to have a heck of a time with the flanks because their tiles are now weak against 2 absolute behemoths that can soak up those dark tiles like crazy. And by the time you do any kind of damage, Kunchen has now put a defense ailment on your whole team, and Alfreich has just made it so you'll never charge up another special again. And by weak tiles, for those that don't follow very much, so your only tiles that are going to do damage with this Dark Mono are dark tiles. They do half damage against other darks, so it's not going to be effective. If you get by Gwyn, now you're kind of dead. The point of having a good defense, if you can stop 1 flag every time your team is up, you're going to have minimum 50% survivability rate. And if everybody on your team can do that, you're winning that war. So in this case, this is how that's being leveraged. Like, okay, they may take the tank, but they're not taking the flanks. Now, if we look at a scenario where Guinevere doesn't die before she goes off. So now let's say she goes off, and here's what makes her very special in this scenario is that part of her special is plus 54% defense against dark for 4 turns. So now the tiles, which do have elemental damage, are now no longer strong against Gwyn. Now, technically, the tiles are still strong, but her defense is going to soak up a lot more of those tiles. And the tiles are now very weak against the flanks. So they were weak, now they're doing even less damage. So tiles are not going to do it. If Gwyn's going off, she's now taking off all your mana. Not all of it. She's taking off 20% off your bar, or every time she goes off. Alfrike is getting charged up. So is Kunchin. This is why this is effective, and why a dark mono is not going to work very often on this team. And now let's have a look. Okay, so let's not go dark, because if she goes off, our tiles are useless, and she's not going to let us even get off a charge special. So let's take a look now and see what happens with a holy mono team. So now with a holy mono team, you're actually weak against Gwyn with your tiles, and you would be strong against Kunchin and Alfrike, or whichever dark heroes you've put there. This is risky, because for one, with Gwyn's stats, you are not going to take her down with yellow tiles. She's going to charge up before that you take her out with those. Also, you may get lucky with a string of yellows on Kunchin or Alfrike, but if they are gone down the right path for emblems, they're going to take 3 of them, and it's the chances of you getting 3 up their lane is going to be difficult, because you've only got 1 laneway to hit them with tiles. Now, this is where the synergy is on full display. So with Kunchin on that left flank, if he goes off, now he gives 46 plus 46 defense against Holy to all dark allies. So now both flanks are covered, and it's no longer strong coming in at them for tiles. And if one of those wings is actually a 2019 Hero of the Month, then all allies get it, and including Gwyn. So the yellow tiles were weak before, now they're even less than weak, and now those yellow tiles are not even doing well on the flanks. So those kind of effects is what makes this team very good, is that it's going to stop these tiles. All right, now that's for monos. I get it. Not everybody does monos. So let's have a look at what happens if you go neutral. Let's steer away from the Holy Dark right now. And by the way, I don't think a 3-2 Holy Dark is going to do well either, because you're not going to have enough tile damage to take out any of these, and both Kunchin and Guinevere are going to get those specials up that are going to make all of those tiles useless. So neutral. It could be a 3-2, in any color kind of scheme. It could be a mono of a neutral color, or even whatever, a mix of it all. Again, we saw the defensive stats for Gwyn, and they're sufficient in a very fast war to survive long enough to reduce the mana on the attackers and start regenerating health again. In this construct, if you were to take neutral and you got lucky and took out Gwyn, you're also going to be only neutral on the flanks. And that's the beauty of the Holy and Dark combination up the middle. Now, you could argue that a neutral is good enough, and I agree that good boards can happen, but it's not likely. I look at the numbers. It's a fact. This team with Gwyn leading the way has survived more attacks than it has died from. Um, Almost 160 individual attacks on these teams, and over half of them didn't make it through. So I got to think that almost every combination has been used and tried, and none of them are 100% effective. So this is why Guinevere at tank has done very well. Again, I got to lean on the fact that it's the dark and holy combination, but also the fact that she reduces mana on the other team. And I'm going to tell you how effective this is because we had just gone up against a team that had yellow tanks, and almost all of them had a 4-star as a tank, and they whipped us. And they used League's U, who is like a baby Guinevere, and knocks off 20 off the mana bar, 20%. But that was enough to cripple us. Guinevere is much more of a hero than League Zhu is, and you can just imagine that the effects are much, much stronger because she also can make those dark tiles not nearly as effective against her, and she puts up some healing. So again, Guinevere is not going to do as well in a rainbow team, but if you stick a couple of dark flanks around her, I guarantee you are going to get some very positive results. Guinevere on her own is not the best hero in the game, but what we've seen here is that it's not always the best hero that is going to do the best job. In this case, I showed you how Guinevere was the top dog in Rush at tank, and it's not because she is the best hero, it's because of the synergy and the leverage on her different skill sets. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that those of you that have Gwyn in your rosters, don't sell her off just yet to the Soul Exchange. And those that just got her, be proud. Maybe try her out. You might like her because she's not dead. She's still very useful. So I'll leave you with that. Until next time, I'm Ssnake, and I'm here to help you defend yourself.